Retirement is supposed to be the golden years, but with inflation and housing costs, it can end up being a life that evolves around early bird specials or soup, or as my uncle used to call it, the aluminum foil years. Don't worry though, you don't have to live in a cardboard box or move in with your adult children if you follow the new rules for retirement savings and move. Saving during retirement is just as important as saving before retirement. Here's a top 10 list of dream places for affordable retirement. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 10, Boise, Idaho. Yes, Boise. Before you roll your eyes at the idea of Idaho, hear me out. This town is way cooler than its potato-loving, California-hating reputation suggests. The cost of living here is reasonable, and housing prices, while climbing, are still affordable compared to most West Coast cities. And when you do compare it to most West Coast cities, this is one of the better cities. And if you say, well, it's not a West Coast city, it's not, but it is part of the Pacific Northwest, and a lot of different region maps consider it part of the West Coast states. I don't know why, it's just a thing they do. Boise is where you can enjoy all four seasons without hating at least one of them. Summers are warm, winters are, for the most part, mild, and fall and spring are so gorgeous, they almost make you feel bad for everyone stuck in a swampy Florida or some kind of desert climate. Almost. The city is clean, safe, and surprisingly vibrant. Lively. I always throw in vibrant, and I hate the word, and then as soon as I read it out loud, I'm all, why do I keep using that? Anyway, with farmers markets, outdoor concerts, and miles of greenbelt trails for biking and walking, it's a great place to live. Plus, Idaho taxes Social Security benefits at a really low rate, which means your retirement checks will stretch far enough to keep you into craft beer and farm fresh produce. Boise is not just about potatoes. It's about living your best budget-friendly life. Honestly, I know that sounds like a commercial, but it's the truth. Now, their cost of living is surprisingly low, and I say that because it is a very nice city. It's beautiful, and people love this city, and it's still reasonable. It's only 6% above the national average, which, considering you have places like Los Angeles where it's 28% and San Francisco where it's 137% above the national average, Boise is downright affordable, especially for a West Coast city, like I said. All their other stats are great. They're all graded A's and B's. Not a bad place to live. The average home value in Boise, Idaho is $438,000, which is about $20,000 less than the national average. The cost of living in Boise, Idaho is 6% above the national average. I know that's a little high because we're looking for affordable, but this place is so nice, it's worth that. It's still lower than the national average overall. Number 9, Oxford, Mississippi. It is very rare we put anything Mississippi in a positive list. It just doesn't have that many things. Oxford isn't just for literature nerds that are obsessed with William Faulkner. It's a surprisingly affordable and charming place to retire, with housing costs well below the national average and a cost of living so low you think they made a mistake on your bills. This southern college town offers a pretty decent lifestyle on a budget. The town's literary and artistic feel blends with the southern hospitality, creating a unique atmosphere. Stroll along the historic square where you'll find bookstores, cafes, and restaurants that somehow manage to be trendy and affordable. And thanks to the University of Mississippi, or Ole Miss, you'll have access to cultural events, sports, and maybe even a chance to audit classes just for fun. Oxford also hosts festivals galore, from art fairs to the Oxford Film Festival. So there's always something for you to do. It's a small town with a lot of charm and enough quirks to keep it interesting. The best part? Mississippi has one of the lowest tax burdens in the country, making your retirement funds stretch a little bit further. The cost of living in Oxford, Mississippi is 14% below the national average, and the average home value is about $328,000. Number 8, Bella Vista, Arkansas. Yep, you heard me right, Arkansas. Like Mississippi, Arkansas rarely shows up on positive lists, unless of course we're talking about the northwestern section of the state, which Bella Vista, Arkansas is in. Yes, Bella Vista, Arkansas is so retirement friendly, it's practically screaming your name. Homes here are a steal compared to the national average, and the cost of living is almost suspiciously low. Like, how is this even real low? Bella Vista is a planned community that was basically built for retirees who love the good life. There are 7 lakes, countless golf courses, hiking trails, and more clubs than you'll have time to join. It's the kind of place where your biggest stressor is deciding on whether to golf or take a Viagra on any given Tuesday. Oh, and don't worry about healthcare. There are plenty of clinics and hospitals nearby, and if you're concerned about entertainment, you can always take a quick trip to nearby Bentonville to pretend you're sophisticated while visiting the Crystal Bridge Museum of American Art. Bella Vista is where relaxation meets affordability, and honestly, who wouldn't want to live here? Arkansas, for all its problems, is a beautiful state. They just have sections that are terribly undereducated, terribly poor, and two of the scariest cities in the country. That's Pine Bluff and, of course, Little Rock. The cost of living in Bella Vista is 8% below the national average, and the average home here is about $333,000. Number 7, Homosassa, Florida. Yes, Florida makes the list. Shocker, retirement? Florida? Who ever heard of such a thing? But Homosassa isn't your typical retiree hotspot like Miami or Naples or Sarasota Springs, where the prices are as high as the humidity. Homosassa is charming, affordable, and just strange enough to make you forget you're in Florida. I mean, that is until you see a manatee floating by. The housing market here is ridiculously reasonable, and there's no state income tax, which is beautiful. Want a waterfront home? You can actually afford one without having to rob a bank or start a Ponzi scheme. Plus, Homosassa Springs Wildlife State Park is nearby, and you can spend your afternoons watching manatees instead of doom scrolling the news. The community here is tight-knit and friendly. Think more potluck dinners and fewer HOA horror stories, which I'm going to make a video on HOA horror stories that I've read over the years. These things are ridiculous. And if you're a seafood fan, you'll be in heaven here. Homosassa's fishing scene is top-notch, meaning you can catch your dinner and still have money left over for dessert. And wine? Definitely. The cost of living in Homosassa Springs is 17% below the national average, and the average home value here is only $319,000. That is not bad. Number 6, Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Arkansas might not be the first place you think of for retirement, but hear me out. Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is an affordable gym where you can buy a home for what feels like pocket change compared to coastal cities. Who needs a mansion in Malibu when you can have a spacious home in Arkansas and still afford dinner out every single night? I saw a promo video for this place, and they say it is the largest gated community in the country. They have 11 lakes where you could fish on. They have 9 golf courses. So you could have a lakefront property here or a golf front property, whichever you want. You can even have one in the mountains. They've got mountains here. This community is nestled in the Ouachita Mountains, so it's like living in a national park without tourists asking where's Starbucks. There are hiking trails, lakes, fishing, boating, and you guessed it, actual hot springs. It's basically nature's spa treatment on a budget. They're also really big on community events here. That's kind of a thing in the South. And the Midwest, really. You won't find it as much out west, but you definitely will in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Who says retirees can't party? I mean, as long as the party's over by 9. The cost of living in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is 3% lower than the national average, and the average home value is about $296,000. That is not bad. Number 5, Green Valley, Arizona. If you love the desert and the idea of never shoveling snow again, Green Valley might be your oasis. Housing is affordable with the average home price sitting comfortably below the national median. Plus, you don't need a humidifier because the air is already dry enough to turn grapes into raisins overnight. Green Valley is a retiree's dream because it's basically designed for you. The town is filled with age-restricted communities, meaning no noisy kids zipping around on skateboards or neighbors throwing ragers till 2 a.m. Instead, you get pickleball courts, golf courses, and book clubs galore. The cherry on top, Arizona doesn't tax your Social Security income. Yep, you heard that right. You can stretch that monthly check further without Uncle Sam going up your colon looking for change. Just remember, hydrate. It's a dry heat, but heat nonetheless. The cost of living is 1% below the national average, and the average home value is about $295,000. Number 4, Pueblo, Colorado. If you've always dreamed about retiring in Colorado, but balked at the idea of Aspen's prices, Pueblo might be the perfect alternative. Maybe not, but it's a lot cheaper. Nestled along the Arkansas River, this affordable gem offers homes at a price that won't make you cry into your 401k. The cost of living here is lower than the national average, meaning that you can actually afford to enjoy those mountain views. Pueblo is famous for its chili peppers, and if you're not into spicy foods, you'll be after you live here for a while. It's just one of those things that kind of grows on you. The city hosts the annual Chili and Frijole Festival, where you can eat your way through local flavors and pretend the heat doesn't really make your eyes water. It's something like pollen or something. With over 300 days of sunshine, Pueblo is an outdoor lover's paradise, whether you're fishing on Lake Pueblo State Park or biking along the Arkansas River Trail. You'll have plenty of ways to stay active, and unlike other Colorado hotspots, Pueblo's affordability means you can actually afford to relax without worrying about a second mortgage. The cost of living in Pueblo, Colorado is 6% below the national average, and the average home value here is $289,000. Not bad. Number 3, Morganton, North Carolina. Nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains, Morganton offers all the beauty of a mountain town without that Aspen, Colorado price tag. Honestly, if you want to be shocked and appalled, go to Zillow and type in Aspen, Colorado. Look at the prices of the homes here. They're so expensive, it's almost like saying, you know what, if you're blue collar, please don't even visit this town. But Morganton is a beautiful mountain town that's a fraction of the price of some of these mountain towns out in Colorado. Morganton, which I've called Morgantown 3 different times already, and I've had to delete it. Morganton has that small town charm retirees love, with friendly neighbors, a historic downtown, and local wineries for those who think retirement should come with a wine glass permanently attached to their hand. The town also has a surprisingly good food scene. Think farm-to-table restaurants without the pretentious vibe. If you're into the outdoors, you could hike, bike, or just sit on a bench and pretend you like to hike. And don't forget Lake James, perfect for boating, fishing, or just gazing while congratulating yourself on not retiring someplace boring. The cost of living in Morganton is 6% lower than the national average, and the average home value is about $250,000. Not bad. Number 2, Kingsport, Tennessee. Kingsport might not be the most glamorous place to retire, but who cares when it's this affordable? Located in the scenic Appalachian Highlands, this Tennessee town boasts housing costs that are laughably low and a cost of living that feels like you've stepped back in time in a good way, not like back to your freshman year in high school when you awkwardly try and convince a girl into the backseat of your Volkswagen. And before you do, yes, I had my driver's license my freshman year because I was 16. And that's because nuns thought I was obnoxious and decided to hold me back a year so I could grow up a little bit. Those penguins hated me. Kingsport is perfect for retirees who love that small town charm and still want access to like modern amenities. The downtown area is a mix of historic buildings and locally owned shops, and enough restaurants to keep your taste buds entertained for at least a couple years. Plus, Tennessee doesn't tax your Social Security income, so you could stretch out your retirement dollars further than you thought possible. You want to get outdoors? You're close to Bays Mountain Park, where you can hike, picnic, or just sit around and admire other people hiking and picnicking. It's Tennessee, so you know you're going to have friendly neighbors, mild winters, and more community events than you can count. And Kingsport becomes an easy choice for anyone that's on a budget and they still want to retire. The cost of living in Kingsport is 17% lower than the national average, and the average home value is about $241,000. Not bad. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to any one of these places and you need a real estate agent, there is a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Abilene, Texas. Abilene, the town where cowboy hats meet affordability. Located in West Texas, Abilene offers low housing prices and a cost of living that feels like a gift from the financial gods. You can actually buy a house here without wondering if you're going to need a side hustle selling homemade candles. What's great about Abilene that it combines small town charm with just enough modern stuff to keep you from losing your mind. There's a surprisingly lively art scene with museums, theaters, and even an annual film festival. Who knew cow towns could be cultured, right? And of course, it's Texas, so there's tons of barbecue. Abilene is the kind of place where you can ride off into the retirement sunset without going broke. Abilene, Texas has a cost of living that's 10% lower than the national average, and the average home value is about $192,000. All right, that's today's video. If you enjoyed this one, you probably enjoy one of the 2 videos being suggested right now. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.